And I always say, all right, gentlemen. So I guess I'll say, all right, gentlemen, again. Good evening. Welcome. How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing well, man. No complaints.
Cool. Cool. Are you guys into the Christmas spirit yet?
Bah.
Humbug.
Yeah.
Now, not the Torchwood spirit, the Christmas spirit. Oh,
Yeah, quite possibly. We actually decided this year to get a real tree, stepdaughter's request. And really, I'm pretty sure it's the first one that Karen and I've ever had. And yeah, so it's in there twinkling in our living room right now. It's really, really beautiful.
well, as long as it doesn't start spinning around on
Hmm.
Christmas Day, then I think you're good.
Set as a robot.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite lines of all Doctor Who. Set as a robot.
Oh, and Kombat?
Yeah, he says Mortal Kombat. I don't know why. Oh,
Oh,
yes, because the episode is combat, of course. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Oh, those prattling mortals. Anyway.
Hmm.
All right. I guess I'm on full cheese tonight, maybe. Perhaps. Or is
No,
that
How was that different from any other night?
what
Yeah,
I was
I could
about to say? Clarence
Oh.
is going to say, and this is different from when.
How was it different?
How is this night different?
All right. Well, before we get on to or get into full combat mode, I guess I need to make sure I have my notes and be ready to say, gentlemen, here we go again. The Discussing Network presents Discussing Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Kyle Jones, and I want to start this week by welcoming back Lee Shackelford. Mr. Shackelford, how are you?
I got no reason to complain, but sometimes I still do. Yeah, really, really grand. Really just feeling fine.
You know,
And hope you are the same.
I am indeed. And the last time, or at least one particular time on here, that you said you were grand, and you said that exact same thing, I followed up with, well, I'm not a piano, but I'm doing good, or something like that. And just, well,
Yeah.
hey, I am on full cheese. That's all I'm
I
saying.
still don't understand that. So, yeah.
Hey, I don't understand half of the things I say on this podcast.
Exactly.
But what I do understand is I have to say, I must say, Clarence Brown, welcome back.
Hey, man. Thanks. Glad to be here as always, dude. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And Lee, got to swing it back to you real quick.
Hmm.
There's something you like telling people on our episodes, and what might that be?
I do. I like to tell people to say to everybody listening, and if maybe you're watching on the video, you got other things you could be doing, and you chose to spend this time with us, and we really appreciate it.
And Clarence, there is also something that you like sharing with people, and what might that be?
It's that you can support the show by subscribing, leaving a review, or telling a friend. Most importantly, if you have something you want us to know, you can send that along with anything else to discussingwho at gmail.com or hit us up at discussingwho on any and all social media.
Any and
Awesome.
all.
Any and all, yes, indeed. And let me ask, or let me mention something really quick. This is sort of in the news. I know I saw this, I don't know, maybe the last couple of days, but it looks like Big Finish has been renewed the license with Doctor Who through 2030. So
Yes.
more Big Finish coming from Doctor Who and related properties through 2030 and probably well beyond. So kudos to Big Finish and
Indeed.
Doctor Who on audio. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And there
And
is.
specifically,
Go
I
ahead.
bet I know where you're going.
All right. Well, I'm curious to know where was I going?
Yeah, I maybe you were going to mention that among the Big Finish shows scheduled are Further Adventures of the Fugitive Doctor.
You know me well.
Yes.
Yes, I would be ecstatic to listen to that. So yes,
Yeah.
very, very, very happy. Anytime I can see the fugitive doctor, I'm a happy camper.
Or hear the fugitive doctor.
or hear the fugitive,
Yeah, that's right.
fugitive doctor. Indeed, indeed. So, question: December the 23rd is coming up. We're getting a colorization. We've already talked about this in a previous episode of the War Games. I'm assuming we're not going to get that in the States like we didn't get the Daleks in color. We will have to buy that at some later date.
Oh, right.
And the BBC Proms, I think, is on with Doctor Who, is on television. I want to say December the 21st or 22nd, maybe even the 24th, but right there together around Christmas. The most recent Proms they did earlier in the year will be televised. And I wish we could get that too, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Who?
For us, lowly Americans, could you tell us what the proms are?
Lee, would you like to, or would you want?
A long tradition of shows being called, I think it's short for promenade. I think it's just a big night out. And, well, that's the way we say prom here, I guess. It's, as far as I'm aware, it has always been concerts at the Albert Hall, at the Royal Albert Hall. So, yeah, that's what we're looking forward to. The big concert, the big stage show, usually loaded with interesting guests. The one that they simulcast on BBC Radio, and so I was able to record it off the air, was hosted by David Tennant, and it was and featured the music of Murray Gold with the whole orchestra there and Murray Gold at the baton, and it was a pretty special thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think there was a 2008 prom, there was a 2010 prom, or maybe it was 2013. I'm not sure which one, but I have one of those recorded, and just the simple fact of hearing the music, hearing the orchestra, and what's really cool is when you have the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Weeping Angels and the Jadoon walking
Yes.
through the crowd. That is awesome to see,
So-
especially kids' faces with these Silurians and whatnot coming
Yes.
down the aisles and the kids responding to that. That's just really, really awesome.
Can you imagine being in the Royal Albert Hall with the Jadoon stomping up and down the steps next to you?
Mojo,
Yeah.
mojo.
That would just be a lot of fun, I think. A lot of fun.
Yep. And this conversation makes me want to take the beacon, or whatever that is, the horn, and tear it off. I don't know why.
Wow.
Maybe I'd be a fugitive. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, I see.
But what I do know, gentlemen, is for everyone listening, if you have not seen Combat, put us on pause. Go out, watch the episode, come back, because from this moment forward, spoilers. Alrighty, the spoiler warning has gone out, and we are back to review Combat. This
You
is
mean the 1960s American TV series Combat?
No, I'm talking
Oh.
about the 11th episode of the first series of Torchwood, first
Oh.
airing on the 24th of December, 2006. Talk about a freaking Christmas episode. Wow. I mean, really, wow.
Yeah.
So some review. Clarence, I'm going to start with you. Some review. What say you?
I think I can't say that this is one of my favorite Torchwood episodes. I feel like there were a lot of good things in here. My favorite parts of Torchwood seemingly have been when we've dealt with characters, and this definitely deals with Reese. Reese and Owen in this episode. So I very much enjoyed those parts, but hopefully you guys can talk me up a bit. Let's get into it. What about you, Lee?
I'm kind of the same way. I found it very engaging, and it's fun to be enjoying Owen more.
Yeah.
So I liked that about it. Yeah. It is intense. This is an ugly episode, and because some of the people we meet are pretty ugly on the inside. And yeah. Anyway,
Mm.
well, I know we'll get into it, as you say. Screenplay by Noel Clark. Where do I know that name from?
Yeah, I'm thinking Mickey Mouse here almost.
Yeah.
You
How
know,
about that?
yep. Captain Cheesecake's Mickey Mouse is writing for Captain Cheesecake.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, very, very interesting. Whenever I saw the name, I'm like, huh? And then I looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, that's Mickey Smith.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
It is. I still haven't
Kudos
forgiven. No,
to-
I haven't
to
forgiven
for
him for
writing
blowing
it.
up Starfleet, though.
Kudos to him for writing. I got to give him
Yeah.
credit for that. But
Yes.
honestly, I didn't like this episode. I liked the concepts of it, but I just maybe after such a very heartfelt and warm, fuzzy kind of feeling from last episode,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, and coming off to seeing this, it was just kind of like a stark contrast. So maybe it's not necessarily for me anything a detriment to this episode. Maybe it's comparing it to what we just come off of. But dang, I just didn't like some of these people. And maybe,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to. I get
You're not
that.
supposed to, but yeah, still.
So, Lee, I'm going to point this question to you first because whenever I'm talking about not liking people, we've pretty much been unanimous in the course of this series that we all like Gwen. Gwen's so great.
Yeah.
Gwen is this. Gwen is that. Gwen in this episode. Thoughts?
She a hoe.
Merry Christmas to you.
Hello.
Merry Christmas.
sorry.
Ho, ho, ho.
No, I love Gwen, and it would be very hypocritical to. Yeah. Anyway,
Tis the season to be jolly.
just
La 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 la.
not,
La 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 ho.
not to get too personal, but it's nothing that I haven't done. So I shouldn't pick on her, but as a character here, we are putting. It is interesting that the series puts her in this position that yeah, when Grace is gardening
Yes,
equipment. Exactly.
exactly. I was about to make the joke. I cannot
you go.
believe you would
Compared her
dare
to gardening
call
equipment.
her a gardening tool.
What they're doing, is that they're dealing with the fact that Jack warned her from the beginning. This place, Torchwood, the life in Torchwood, is going to play havoc with the real world, and he begged her to stay connected to Reese. And if she was able to just do that somehow, then that wouldn't be dramatically interesting. What's dramatically interesting is to watch that get torn to shreds. Yes. And we can blame her if we want to. But the point is, it's really, really, really hard. And none of the others are with somebody. And maybe now we know why. It's so, so we know that this is going to come unspooling at some point. What I wrote in my notes was, I really hate to see Reese suffer, but hell, I hate to see the Weevil suffer. I don't want to see people suffer in this, but that's part of the story. So, yeah. What about you? What do you?
Clarence?
Man, again, like you mentioned, we really love Gwen in this series, and it's just like in this episode, is everything coming to a head. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the beginning of the episode, she's trying to mend things with Reese, and yet again, it gets interrupted by work.
Mm-hmm.
So work has totally consumed her life in every facet. Mentally, emotionally, physically, all those things. And as much as I love Gwen, this episode, she's just the lowest of the low. The way she treats someone she loves, and even the use of some of the Torchwood tech with him in this episode. But she kind of
Shades.
gets her comeuppance. And we'll talk about Owen in this
Yeah.
episode. But so maybe that balances it out
And
a little bit.
and the fact that we can't do anything to her that she's not doing to herself either.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to say she ought to be punished, she's being punished, and
She gets it.
She gets it, and it's yeah.
You know, I'm feeling shades of Susie a little bit because, you know, the temptation, because the wiping the memory, you know, that was the first thing I thought of.
That's
is,
right.
You know, you've got that temptation because Susie needed someone to talk to. Now she used it for diabolical means. Maybe maybe the underlying motivation and intent kind of changes between the two of them a little bit, but they still needed somebody to talk to or express something, and then had to wipe the memory. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if we're jumping ahead chronologically too much here, but it's for people who have come into Torchwood. If this is your first episode, then you can see that this is not something good. But if you are thinking of this as a serial, then you know more of what's going on with Owen, why Owen doesn't want to live. And you can understand better and be horrified by the fact that Gwen wants to confess. She wants to get it all out in the open, she says. But she does it while she's dosed Reese with Retcon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not for him at all. It
Not
is
at all.
just for her. And that's Susie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the audience, we got to be going, oh my God. Oh, here we go.
The replacement has become.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me wonder though when we talk about the drugging scene. We mentioned that it was totally for Gwen, and I get that, but was she trying to gauge his reaction in the case that she really did tell him?
I think
Yeah.
so.
She gets
Yeah.
to practice. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to resist the temptation of that, of getting to have a dry run at something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very seductive.
And from the seductive part of it, for the idea of we have access to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the temptation to use that for whatever gains it is. And I think that's an interesting exploration of, of an idea that was presented is you take the best of people and put them in situations, because I'm thinking about people, and I don't know anybody who works in the CIA or something like that, but somebody who has
As
a
far as you
job-
know.
As far as I know. Yeah, very good point. But that has a job to where they can't talk about. And, they can't, for the safety of the people around them, that they can't talk about it too and whatnot. And the burden that person must have to know that, yes, I'm telling you that I'm going to work at my 9-to-5 job, but I'm really out ABCing, but I can't tell you that. And the burden that might have on a psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the notion of how all-consuming their job is. You said 9 to 5, and to me, it doesn't feel like 9 to 5. It feels like just whenever they're needed, which is most of the time. And we see in this episode, even Jack keeps telling her to mend your life, fix your life, get it in order. But even as he says that, and eventually he runs up on her on a date, he tries to give her time off, but in actuality, they really need her because they can't function. Owen, come back. So
Yeah.
they're a slim team, and devoid of hiring more people or getting more people in the fray, you can see why this job is consuming so much of their life, because it's not that many of them to begin with.
Right.
Yep. And
Yep.
you add in, this is 2006. You talk work-life balance 2006. Imagine work-life balance in 2025. The difference in 20 years, the blurring of the line, as so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reese's response to her at the restaurant, Thoughts, either of you?
Sit them down.
Yeah.
He's fed up, man.
But was he out
Yeah.
of line? Was he fed up? What
I
thoughts?
I think we've all got to be with her when she says, "Don't ever talk to me that way." I mean, we understand what he's feeling, but you, you don't tell her to sit down. I don't. I don't. That's my feeling.
Clarence?
I agree, but I think for me, I never felt like it was. I didn't hear sit down, sit the hell down, or sit the F down right now. I heard we need to talk. This job is taking too much from you.
Yeah.
You know, that was in an inappropriate way, as you mentioned, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he was really saying in that moment.
Yeah, and he said that. Yeah. I mean, he got a chance to say it, but then she's off again.
See, I
Yeah,
wish
it's not a good situation.
Yeah,
I wish as an audience we would have had the opportunity to see more moments with the two of them so that that point and Clarence, I think you're 100% right in your comment that you just said, but I wish that would have been more easily communicated across the screen. But if you could have seen his frustration a little bit more building so that
Yeah.
you would understand. But if you come at it without that context, he just comes off as a complete asshole.
Well, also we know that's totally out of character for him from everything we've seen from his character so far in the
That's
series.
true.
True.
Yeah. You just feel like he has been pushed to an extraordinary extreme to act like this. He's just not that. That's not what we expect from him in the past. Yeah. So,
Thoughts? Now, he does get a little bit of a redemption arc toward the end of the episode. I think, let me preface and I'll go first. I think he was in his right, and I think it was very poetic for her to come home and then him to go out.
Yeah.
You know, because that to me, I think was a good, in my opinion, showing of her. Don't expect me to sit at home and always be waiting for you.
But she saw through that, Rose. That was just him hurting, because he's like, oh, I'm going out and
Yeah.
I'm going out with the boys, and we're going to the strip club, you know,
Mhm.
men
Yeah.
stuff.
right.
That was just him. It was a very painful because to me that was just him hurting even more, and in his, very Reese attempt to get even.
Yeah.
Let's say all the
Which-
things, and he even comes home early and has 2 drinks, so it's not even like he really partied or anything. Oh, so poor guy.
Yeah.
What did you think, Lee?
Oh, that's adolescent to say, oh yeah, well this is now you know how it feels. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now we're both miserable. And
But you know what? It says something about my emotional intelligence that I like that better than
Well-
sit the
well,
F down.
if that's the scale, but me too. Yeah. I gotta say, those are if that's the comparison. Yeah. But yeah, not good either way. That this is a great opportunity for them to sit down and talk about it. And he short circuited that on purpose. So we're not going to make any progress with that. So it's too bad. It's too bad. But again, there's a difference between what we want people to do because we care about the characters and what we want as participants in a drama. We want to see the stakes escalate. We want to see conflict. So that's what
Yeah.
we got. So
But we
it's-
don't necessarily want violence. That's the truth. We may get violence whether we want it or not. But why do you think, and before we get into the nitbits of the story, question, why do you think humanity as a whole, not necessarily the story, but why do you think humanity as a whole has a tendency to navigate toward violence? Either
we said we were going to do the big questions this season on Torchwood.
and here we are. That's a big
That's one of the
question.
biggest ones there is.
So why is it? What is it about humanity that we tend to navigate toward violence?
I think it's in the context of the show, I'll just say it's appealing well, I guess in life too, is appealing toward our primal nature. Um, if it would be sad to see what humanity might be if there were no rules or laws or oversight or all the other myriad of things that keep us in some type of order. Um, but it's a very primal thing to fight. And in judging from the demographic of people that were there, which would look like it was mostly 20s and 30 somethings that was in the little fight club that we see in this episode, I felt like it's of a very certain demographic to have to want some of those things. I mean, we watch fights on TV, we watch UFC, we want to see people slug it out. So yeah, I think it's a suppressed part of our nature, which good thing it is suppressed, but it is a part of our nature in some
To the degree
senses.
that it is, yeah.
Yeah, and even Mark tries. I think it's the guy's name is Mark. He tries to convey that in the episode.
Mm. Lee, what do you think? Why do you think we navigate toward violence in humanity?
Well, Gandhi said that it's because it's easy, and he was a wise man. You know, that it takes a lot of work to build things, to come together with people. Any idiot can come and tear it down, and we find out when we're very little that we can control other people by knocking things down or hitting people, and I just don't think that ever leaves us once you've made that discovery. And, one of my favorite things in all of science fiction is Forbidden Planet. One of the last lines in that script, in that movie, is we're all monsters on the inside. That's why we have laws and religions.
Mm.
You know, it is. It seems sometimes like it's barely contained. But this is one of the things that struck me, and I think you're exactly right. Mark, this character, he embodies this point of view that this is the best we can do, is to beat the crap out of each other.
Mm.
And because there's really nothing else. There isn't any other meaning to life than this. And I thought, there is the absolute opposite of the Star Trek philosophy, right? He says the only way we can go is down. And I thought, we as fans of this other universe, the belief is we may be monsters, so let's go up. Let's see how far away from that we can get. Yeah, I much prefer to live in that universe.
And
Go ahead, Clarence.
well, I was just going to add real quick. It seems like they also tie this emotional element to the whole fighting in the episode, where we're just so inundated by everyday life. This is like an escapism. It seems like I got that vibe a little bit in the episode as well.
Mhm.
And he even appeals to Owen the same way. Escape from what he's going through in his life, as witnessed by the last episode, Out of Time, where he's not well in this episode.
Mm. And commenting on something you said, Lee, I'm picturing schoolyard bullies, and schoolyard bullies. Some
Yeah.
grow up to be policemen, some grow up to be, businessmen or women or whatever the case is. But they are on the playground bullying with their perceived power, and then some of those people navigate to positions in life to where they have their own perceived power. Now, I'm not saying that people who are in any type of position like the two I mentioned, whether it's policemen or firefighters or what, I'm not saying that everybody like that is a bully. That's not at all what I mean.
Right.
But there are people who take positions like that so that they can still be an adult bully. I mean, we see them every day. We know
You
them. We've
better
seen
believe
them.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also agree with something you said, Clarence, about being some sort of stress relief, this fighting amongst each other. So I have a question for you both. Is there a difference between a group gathering together to fight each other, safety, or fighting safely or without restraint, than there is fighting, and in this case, a weevil or this creature or some other type of being? Is there a difference in the consenting adults and then fighting this other, whatever other is? And if so, how?
What else are our contact sports?
Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
we've agreed that we'll put 22 people out in front of spectators and watch them try to maul each other, and we cheer, and everybody goes quiet when somebody gets hurt. Like, ooh, didn't expect that to happen. Why didn't you think that was going to happen? Do you see how hard that guy hit him? That's what he's supposed to do. Okay, you're right, but a moment, please, of silence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think makes the difference of this? So those 22 people out there fighting, however many there are, I'm not going to say 44, 22, whatever. I don't just people on the field or court or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That are out there, quote unquote, fighting each other for spectators. But what if we put a mascot out there in the center of the ring or center of the field and whatnot on the 50-yard line, and everybody on the field is not chasing the football, they're chasing the mascot
Yeah.
to maul and pummel and whatever.
Right.
What's the difference in what they were doing before and what I just described?
Right. Does
Yeah,
that
I
change everything? Yeah, at least in football, our football, our pigs are dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, we've already proved that's wrong with animal rights or even unwilling human beings that are forced to fight. I think maybe gladiator or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Some.
But yeah, I think when it's against a person's or beings, especially a sentient being in this case, it's definitely going too far. Like Lee said, consenting adults knowing what they're getting into, and they've signed the dotted line, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Do you know in Shakespeare's England there were two buildings side by side, and we know this from people's diaries of the time and drawings of the London skyline and so on. One of them was the Globe Theatre, or the home of Shakespeare's plays, and right next to it was one called the Bear Baiting Ring, where the entertainment that people came to see was somebody fighting a bear.
Oh wow!
And the whole point is to kill the bear in the process.
and not get killed yourself.
And not get killed yourself. And, and so, which of those two amusements was the most popular? The plays next door or the bear baiting ring? I don't know. That's not what I know, but there they were side by side.
And now you just explained how some of the Shakespeare plays got so gruesome.
Well, yeah, they were appealing to, the same audience.
Right, exactly.
To a
That's
large
my
extent,
point.
yeah. So, exactly, yeah.
So the
Right.
reason I brought up stress relief and I phrased the question the way I did about having the weevil or having the mascot, there in center was I want to see if your ideas of the weevil changed in this episode. And Clarence, I'll point it to you first. Before this episode, and even in this episode, what did you perceive the weevil as?
I'm kind of hard pressed to remember why we were actually hunting the weevils down in the original episode, in the first episode. Were they killing folks? Okay, I guess they were
killing because they
I
were in a
guess.
hospital or somewhere, and he was ripping that was one of the first things you see. He rips the neck out of somebody.
But I think the thing was that they were hiding in the shadows, and of course, Torchwood had to pursue them because they were kind of underground aliens living among us, and possibly killing folks. I think that for me, my thoughts of them definitely changed a bit in this episode. Although I would say I don't care what it was. If you're forcing them to fight to the death, or possibly even win. We saw the case where the guy was killed by a weevil in this episode in the cage match. So we don't know how many weevils have actually died
Ooh,
in these cage matches.
that's a good
But
point.
but it seems like the fact that they're forced to fight when we know they're sentient, we know they're more than just. It seems that they're more than just raw killing machines. We talk about their empathy or their low grade telepathy in this episode as well. So it seems like there's a lot more to them, especially from this episode than what I first thought they were. So I'm glad. I'm glad that we got a little bit more explanation about them, and that again, there's more to them than what we previously thought.
Lee, what do you think?
Do you mean, do we feel like we went from thinking of them as monsters to thinking of them as being victims?
Yes, basically.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if we're jumping ahead too far chronologically, but this is one of the most intriguing tags to an episode, I think, ever. Certainly in this series. I mean, now we know that there's one thing that the Weevils fear, and it's Owen.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, then you're not paying attention. It's like, was that? I don't think that was always true.
No, I don't
They're
think so
afraid of,
either.
yeah, they're afraid of him now.
Yes.
Wow.
And the thing that I think was very smartly done in the way they presented this particular episode was the Weevils, to me, were just a creature. They were presented as a creature, and they were something that was kept in captivity by Torchwood,
Right.
but they were presented as an unthinking, roaring monster.
Right. They're just pure id. They're just, yeah.
Yes, and that's that how they were seen. But now they start layering on context to even make me ask as I'm watching it, why isn't Torchwood trying to send this creature back home as opposed to keeping him or her locked up in their jumpsuit in the basement?
Yeah.
Because isn't that also being cruel by
Right.
keeping them, in the basement?
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think of how in the past or how in the present we as humanity villainize and categorize something that looks different, that acts different, that thinks differently, whatever the case may be, monsterize them and villainize them simply so that we can rationalize what it is that we, whoever we are,
Right.
want to do. And in this case, Fight Club. That's
Yeah.
what we want to do. So this is a creature, this is a monster.
Right. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Agree with everything you said.
Yeah. No, it's very, I, thanks to the miracle of the internet and public domain, I'm collecting digital copies of comic books from the 40s and 50s. And a lot of that, thanks to Tarzan, thanks to Edgar Rice Burroughs, every one of them has got some kind of a version of the White Lord of the Jungle, or the Queen of the Jungle, who's also white. And in the Tarzan stories and in all these comics, I keep being amazed at the fact that these people who are supposed to be living like they are one of the animals, when one of their friends is threatened, they will kill a lion, an elephant, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I thought this was part of your kingdom, O King of the Jungle. Didn't you just kill one of your people? But in the audience, we just thought, oh, there's a lion coming, quick, stab it in the throat.
Yeah.
And from our perspective, looking back on that, we're like, why? What are you doing? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of the same thing, is that it's just fun to have monsters around. So we can say we know that this is something that is unrepentantly evil and it's going to kill you. So that means we get a chance to kill something and feel
And you,
righteous about it.
and I'm going to go so far out into left field right now with
Mm.
what I'm about to say, but I'm actually tying it back to what we're talking about. So, as of this recording, it's the first couple of weeks of December 2024, and one of my coworkers in the last couple of weeks has been to see, I think, twice, to see this movie twice, which is Wicked. And hearing her talk about Wicked, and this book has been out 20 years, I think, now, so I'm not giving anything away.
Right.
But it made me reframe the way I see the Wizard of Oz. And I went back and watched the Munchkin Land scene of the Wizard of Oz with a complete different feel to it than I've ever had before, which is, and spoilers for the Wizard of Oz, but you have this house that falls on your sister, and you come and appear, and your sister is dead, and you tell the person who just is responsible for killing your sister, I'm going to get you and your dog too, but yet you're the bad person.
Right.
You're the
Right.
victim. Your family was the victim for all intents and purposes in that scene.
Yeah.
But yet you're the bad person because she looks evil.
And a story point in Wicked, in the book and in the play, and now in the movie, is it's because she's green.
Yeah.
That her whole life, people have just assumed that there's something wrong with her because she's green, and there's a reason why that happened, and she's a victim. She didn't ask for that. And yeah, so you live with that long enough and you grow up to be the quote wicked witch of the West.
So you become what people expect of you.
Exactly.
So back to the Weevil, we see a monster and we expect a monster.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think of these guys who are actually going to this? Not necessarily Owen, but these guys that are participating in this. What is it about them that says fighting is amongst themselves is therapeutic? I don't grasp that. I can't get that.
Well, I'll speak at it from a person who tries to work out regularly. It's just a way to unwind, and though I'm not punching anybody, I'm lifting weights and sweating and getting all those primal things out by doing that aggressive thing that, or so I deem aggressive, by working out. For some people it's running, for some people it's, I don't know, whatever your physical activity is that you have to do periodically to try to reset and just think and unwind. For me, it's an unwinding thing. So
Okay, so let me throw this back at you. You may sweat. Your body, muscles, etc., and so forth. But you're not coming away with a broken tooth or a knocked out tooth or a black eye, and you get my point.
Going to work the next day.
Yes, the self-preservation part of me is like, I don't want to be hit, and I don't want to be whatever. I don't see the therapeuticness of that, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around how that having that harm come to you is okay, as long as you are able to harm someone else.
I think it's more about the adrenaline than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could deal with that. Or
I mean, it might be
I
going
And
to shoot
the
guns
threat
or-
of getting hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the word that Mark uses when he's trying to sell Owen on it is angry. He says, I'm angry all the time. I can tell you are too. So come, let me show you. Let me show what we're doing about it.
All right. Well, then let's take the opposite of what I see as anger and look at Owen's scene where he basically shuts his eyes and has this zen look on his face. Thoughts?
Yeah, he tells Jack later, for a moment there, I was really happy. Or he says I was at peace. I was at peace.
Hmm.
And then you came blundering in.
Thoughts?
It's the conclusion of Out of Time. He's been
Mm-hmm.
sulking this whole episode. He's in the bar, trying to drink away his sorrows, and lo and behold, this jerk, that's the boyfriend of the bartender, comes and gets in his face. He has to whoop his butt,
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
uh,
he is perfectly capable of doing.
yeah, easy
Yeah.
stakes. Yeah, so yeah, he's just. I don't know if they want us to think that he's the real monster, or they want us to think that he just doesn't want to be here or doesn't care. He's empty, and I'm trying to frame which one I think it actually is. And we talked about how bad Reese was in this episode as far as being a jerk, but Owen is just as bad to Gwen in this episode as well. Maybe even worse. He's in rare form from that point of view. But again, both of these guys are at a really low point, and
Yeah.
both of them is about lost love.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Ironically,
that's right. Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah, both of them sort of saying to the universe, you can't do that to me,
yeah,
even if it's somebody else's choice. And it was Diane's choice. I mean,
yeah,
so so the moral of this story is that men are babies. They're big old babies.
Or bullies. Or
And
bully
and
babies.
and if they get a chance, they will smack each other because they're big old babies.
because we don't know how to work out our emotions.
Because we don't know we don't know how to do anything else. So I don't know. It's
So then explain to me your thoughts, and Lee, I'll point this one to you first. Explain to me your thoughts on that scene with him doing this growl almost or at the Weevils.
yeah, I find that very, very interesting. I mean, and I just love the fact that that's, what we leave the episode on is that we have seen him. Because I think, Clarence, I think you just put your finger right on it. He's either completely empty inside or he is completely full of something awful, right? And we don't know which it is. And he's trying to make it shut up with alcohol, and that's not working. And when he accepts the fact that he's about to get torn to pieces, we feel like this may be a happy ending for him. This may be as happy as he's capable of being, is knowing that he's about to die, and that he's not going to feel this way anymore. But he gets saved. He still feels this way, whatever it is. And it is so powerful that he can intimidate the Weevils with what he feels. And that should be truly frightening to anybody watching this. Like, oh, Owen is a time bomb.
Yes.
Clarence, what do you think?
Everything Lee said, and again, I was wondering, was this low grade telepathy that they talked about? Was the Weevil feeling his emptiness and like, I don't give up at that moment?
I like that. I
Because
like that. Yeah,
'cause
that's yeah.
I kind of felt that same way when he was in the cage with the Weevil,
Mm-hmm.
because he was just standing there like, "What you gonna do, bro?" I don't give a. He didn't sense
That's
fear
true.
in him at all. And if not for Torchwood barging in and shooting well, they didn't shoot, but barging in and causing a ruckus, maybe they just would have had a standoff there for a little while, before anything happened. I
That's
think,
a great point. That's really how it's staged, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
He surrenders, and the Weevil is sort of like, wait, what?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking right there with you, Clarence. I was thinking of, they always say that, and I'm not saying the Weevil is a dog, but how they say that dogs they can smell fear. And, the worst thing you could do is run from a dog or whatnot, just to, stand there and be calm and not show the fear. And that's what I was getting. And I think the way it was presented, you're exactly right, is there could have been just a standoff of, because the Weevil did not would not have felt threatened.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. For me, this just is another episode that says if I were living in the world of Torchwood and I was working at Torchwood, you and I would not be friends, Owen. No, 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 no. Our personalities, I don't think, would get along very well, at all. At all. But what I do know that gets along very well are the three of us, and I can always say, and I love saying, are there any other topics that we've not covered that you guys want to bring up?
The fact that Gwen finds out about Owen and Diane, where she like we mentioned before, she gets her heart broken. There's a lot of heartbreaking in this episode.
Yeah. And if you're being judgmental, as I was, you're sitting out in the audience saying, "Wait, you're cheating on somebody, and you're
Yes.
mad about the fact that he was with somebody. What is your problem?"
Yeah.
Never mind.
And we're liking this person so much. Why?
But I was happy for Tosh in this episode, if I'm being honest.
I'm always sticking up for Tosh, and it's like,
She gets to spill the beans.
yes. Yeah.
I just feel
No.
bad for Tosh and Ianto both because I think these are the two characters that literally got the raw end of the deal for this
Yeah.
entire series.
It's true. We'll see how that plays out. But
Yes, indeed.
I wanted to say, just as an actor, just about Eve Miles, is that scene where it really all comes down on her, and she's alone. She tries to take a bite out of that pizza, and she can't because she's sobbing too hard.
Yeah.
And so she's either sobbing as she tries to eat or eating as she tries to sob, and she just finally gives up and puts the pizza down. Can you imagine if you're an actor and somebody gives you that page of the script and they tell you to just sit in the chair and just do that, and action? It's just mind bending to me, Eve Miles. That's extraordinary. And it really gets you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No matter how much judgment we may have placed on her before, we're thinking, okay, I cannot punish you any more than you are punishing you. Right? Yeah.
I'm just trying to sit here and think, have I ever been in a sob mode? Which I have been before, but
Yeah.
have I ever tried to eat while
Yeah.
sobbing? Usually at that point, eating something is the last thing on my
Right.
mind.
Yeah.
You know.
She's gamely going to try it, but it's pointless. It also raised the less serious question: do any of them eat anything besides pizza?
Well, it's next door, you know.
Well, I guess so, yeah. The convenience is just... But have we seen any of them eat anything besides pizza?
It's funny.
All right, Clarence, any other topics from you?
I think that's it for me, man.
Then I must then say to you, Clarence, favorite scene?
My favorite scene is going to be when Owen kicks the bartender's boyfriend's butt. And even once more when he came back with his friends and
He's got to do it again.
and Mark jumped in. So
Mark helps.
yeah, that was a good time.
All right. So my favorite scene, I, for the most part, really didn't like this episode, but I did like seeing another Doctor Who name in another capacity. So I thought that was really cool. And so my scene is the credits when they're rolling and we see Noel Clarke as the writer. And I thought that was really cool. Because think about it, this isn't something that he did later in the story. I mean, later in his life. This is 2006. So he's right there in the middle of being Mickey Smith in series 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
So that is my favorite scene. And when Grace adds the roadside, food and countryside, laugh out loud.
That's
and
true.
Also a nod to Harold Katz, who's been in the chat, and he is doing catch up to Torchwood, and like me, didn't remember most of these episodes. So thank
Yeah.
you both gentlemen for being in the chat. All right. Favorite scene. Lee, did I give you favorite scene?
No, I wanted to remind everybody of the Jelly Deal deep fake commercial, which frankly was my favorite thing in this episode. I just love Tosh and Owen have put together a whole commercial in which he is the CEO of the Jelly Deal export company with testimonials and the phone number to call and everything. And she's there to answer the phone when somebody calls the number.
Yeah,
And
that was cool.
as a fan of the original Mission Impossible, that's the kind of thing they would do. And I thought, yeah, I love it.
And this is the days before artificial intelligence and Sora and all of that.
That's
So
right.
They actually made the video.
They had to make it, yeah. Well, I mean, Tosh is probably way ahead of this stuff. So
True. All right. So favorite quote. Lee, I'm going to keep it with you. Favorite quote.
when the murderer is saying that he, to Jack on the telephone, and he says, you have to do what I say. And Jack says, I have this selective deafness when I'm talking to cowards or murderers. Just thought that's a very cool thing to say. I love it.
All right, Clarence. Favorite quote.
Okay, this is long. Stick with me here, guys.
Mm.
Oh, God, what happened to you? Says Gwen. Reese, it's you. Nice to meet you. Sorry, dude. Kind of an emergency. I'll have to. I have her back by dessert. And then he says, "Come on." Then Reese says, "Hold on, sunshine. That's my girlfriend." Then Gwen says, "Reese, this is Jack." Then Reese, "Sit down, Gwen." Gwen, "He's my boss." Reese, "Sit the down." Okay, that was bad, but yeah,
It's tense.
It's a great scene. It's a great scene.
It's a great scene. We knew it was going to happen sooner or later.
Indeed. Had to happen. All right. So mine, actually, even though I don't like this character, is from Owen, and he says it's not about fighting. It's about finding something worth fighting for. I just really like that.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Really,
good
really like
line. Yeah.
All right. Final rating. Clarence Brown. Final rating.
I'll give this 3.2 truck tricks out of 5.
Truck tricks.
I don't want to say the real word.
Yes.
Oh,
Owen,
okay.
Owen tells Gwen he's sick of her tricks. Yes.
Okay. Got you.
Yes.
Got you. All right.
Can you get any colder than that?
Okay.
Just asking.
Well, let's see. Lee. Final rating.
I'm giving this 3 tear-stained pizzas out of 5.
Ooh, good. Good. I'm going to give it, you said 3?
3.
And Clarence, you gave,
I think I said 3.5. Or
Yeah.
I can't remember. 3.5, I believe.
I'm going to be right there in the middle of you and say I'm going to give it 3.25 sit the F downs out of 5.
There you go.
There you go.
And since that takes us to the end of the episode, one of the last things you see on screen is that it comes from Wales. And we've been talking about the mysterious letters CYMRU that accompanied on screen. So this is the time for me to say that in a previous episode, I said, I've got a guess at how that's pronounced, and I'm completely wrong. So I had to get somebody who actually speaks the language to tell me. Cymru. It's pronounced Cymru.
Come very.
Yeah.
And that's the Welsh word for Wales.
Yeah.
Why
Not
don't we
Wales.
call
That's
it
where
Cymru?
Cymru. Yeah.
Why do we change it? Oh.
That would probably be the British, I think,
Oh,
who came in and
British are
said, no.
coming. The British are coming.
We're gonna, Anyway, just wanted to mention that by way of apologizing to everybody who said, that's not how you say it, Lee. What is the matter? Anyway, Cymru.
You were just pronouncing it in Oz 9 Welsh.
That's right.
Because, you know,
Just
we
has
love
its own
on
rules.
Oz 9 butchering accents, and we love it doing it.
Yes.
But we have fun doing it. So, all right. Well, guys, thank you for joining me. For everyone in the chat, thank you for being with us live. For everyone listening at a later time, thank you for listening. We are glad that you are with us. We are glad that you're listening. And as always, we will be back next time.